All Indiana Politics is your premier source for Indiana politics, focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
I'm Wish TV government reporter Garrett Bergquist. Voters in Lawrence will pick a new mayor next month. Current Mayor Steve Collier is retiring after 2 terms in office. Lawrence is the largest of the 4 excluded municipalities in Marion County, both in terms of population and land area. I recently sat down with both of the candidates running for mayor. Here's Republican candidate and current deputy mayor Dave Hoffman. With us now is Dave Hoffman. Dave, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Why are you running for mayor of Lawrence?
Well, I love the city of Lawrence, and I was born for this job. I have lived in Lawrence my whole adult life. I've raised my children there, and we just feel like it's our hometown, and I want to see the success of Lawrence continue. We've had an amazing about 10 years now in terms of growth and development, safety, and I want to see that continue in our city.
You've talked about combining local dollars with federal and state grants to fund water and street projects. What would be your top priorities there?
Yeah, so annually we seek community crossings matching grants from the state of Indiana, which are right now capped at $1 million. We will be seeking those again next year and in years to come. Paving projects are obviously very important to us. We have seen a great deal of paving projects in the city of Lawrence on the main thoroughfares, and I think our city we're ready to get back into the neighborhoods and replace some of those aging neighborhood streets. I think are going to be next on our agenda.
What's your backup plan if you can't get those grants?
So we'll use tax-funded, revenues as best we can, but I'm optimistic based on past performance that our future performance is going to indicate that we will receive some state and federal dollars as well.
Much of the recent development has been along and north of 56th Street. How do you ensure that the areas south of 56, and especially south of Pendleton Pike, don't get left behind?
Right. I know there's a lot of people that think that, but that's just not true. We have spent real close to $50 million, $50 million, all in the historic side of Lawrence, way south of 56th Street, on sewer mains, water mains, stormwater projects, and that's going to continue. As you might expect, the older parts of Lawrence were in the most need of those improvements, and that's what we're going to continue focusing on, those areas that are in need of the most improvements. South of Pendleton Pike is also an area that people seem to think that we don't spend any time in, which is simply not true. We have 2 new neighborhoods going in south of Pendleton Pike. We spend a lot of time at 42nd and Post Road, 46th and Franklin, 46th and Pendleton Pike, and those are areas that are going to continue to see a lot of focus from the city of Lawrence and all of the resources that we bring to bear. Not just projects either. We're talking about people, we're talking about public safety, we're talking about making sure that our neighborhoods are safe and that they are the types of places that families feel encouraged to set up their homes and stay. We're not seeing a big exodus of people out of any side of Lawrence. In fact, our population is growing. We have so much development going on, not just new homes, affordable new homes, but we also have a $70 million project coming to Fort Benjamin Harrison that's going to be adding new apartment options as well. So we're really excited about the growth in Lawrence.
You alluded to this just now, and I want to engage with this a little bit more. How do you ensure that the homes that are built in Lawrence remain affordable to the people who live there?
Well, we have a lot of different price points coming in to the city of Lawrence. We have a new neighborhood at 52nd and Midhofer and one near 46th and German Church that are going to appeal to a wide variety of people. The city of Lawrence is about 20 square miles, a little more than that. We're relatively landlocked, so we don't have a lot of areas in our city that are ripe for development. So we just have to be real cautious and real, I'll say real finicky about the kinds of developments that we allow to occupy the remaining acreage that we do have in our city.
You've also said that you want to keep crime rates low. How will you go about doing that?
Well, first of all, we have to have a police department that is fully staffed and fully funded. The idea of defunding the police, I know it's a big national thing. I just don't think that that's a good policy for safe communities. We must invest in our public safety officials, not just police, but fire. Our fire department and our police officers, they've got great response times. Crime has been consistently trending downward. As you may or may not know, I was the police chief in the city of Lawrence for 6 years, and in all of those years, all of our Part 1 crimes, which are all those crimes that we report to the FBI, they were trending downward in general, and that continues to be the case. It's the men and women of the Lawrence Police Department that get the credit for that, by the way, and only by having a fully staffed and funded police department can that occur. When I was chief, I was proud, long before it was fashionable, to equip my officers with body cameras. That was in 2017, long before, again, most other cities and towns were doing that. Of course, we know what happened in Minneapolis in 2020, and then, of course, communities were clamoring for body cameras. We were already doing it. We build trust, accountability, community relations, and we keep our community safe, not just our citizens, but keeping our police officers safe as well. And so that's been a big benefit with the Lawrence Police Department as well.
How do you balance that with avoiding the problem of over-policing, especially among communities of color?
Yeah, well, so again, our officers, they take great effort to make sure that they are consistent, that they are fair and balanced in their policing, that they use common sense and good judgment, that they treat everyone well. We do not and never have, never will tolerate any bias-based policing. We don't target people based on the kind of car they drive or the color of their skin or the neighborhood that they're in, right? We just try to treat everybody the same. And I'll tell you what, too, along those lines, since 2017, when we implemented body cameras in our city, we have not had a single sustained complaint of any bias-based policing, any misconduct, poor performance, poor behavior of our officers. And in fact, those videos, thousands of them, show that our officers are behaving exactly the way we expect them to by policy and the way they are trained. So we just, the idea that there could be over-policing or, excessive force or enforcement of the law, it's all on, everything we do is on video. So, and it's just proven time and time again that doesn't happen in the city of Lawrence.
You talked about the city's growth earlier. What kind of growth do you want to see in Lawrence?
Well, I think the Pendleton Pike corridor, I think, is ripe for redevelopment right now. We've got so many properties that are available. We've got NDOT's coming in, the Indiana Department of Transportation, and they're going to do a $9 million safety and beautification project along Pendleton Pike from 465 to Oak Landon. I think that's going to really beautify the area, obviously make it safer. It'll involve landscape medians and make Pendleton Pike feel more like, the small town feel that Lawrence has in other areas, like, for example, along 56th Street. I think that we have a project called the Trades District that is in its infancy right now. It's in the design phases, and that's an area right over by 465 and Pendleton Pike over to Franklin Road, and then there's a railroad line to the north, and we're going to use that area to attract businesses such as mechanical, heating, air conditioning, electrical, plumbing, those kinds of what we call trades, right? And we're hoping, and there's an engineering firm that just relocated from Fishers recently, and they've got a beautiful headquarters right there. And we're hoping after this year, things have kind of slowed down this year, to be quite honest, in the city of Lawrence, that next year we're going to really be able to put our foot on the gas on that project, and that's going to be one of the big transformational projects, because that, as you may or may not know, Pendleton Pike at 465 and then going east, that's really the gateway to our city. And I want to make sure that that gateway is something we can be proud of. And we're going to do that.
What's one issue we haven't talked about that you think is not getting enough attention in this race?
In terms of the race, I am somebody who is clearly a proven leader in our city. I have spent the last 30 years of my life in various leadership capacities, first with the Indianapolis Police Department, and then of course with the merger of IMPD, where I was the commander of the Southwest District, one of the largest districts in the city of Indianapolis. I commanded 160 police officers there for 2 years, and that's not the type of assignment you can give to a rookie. And then I left that assignment to really land my dream job, which was being the chief of police for the Lawrence Police Department. In that role, we built a brand new, first ever police station in the city of Lawrence that we're so proud of, a $12 million project. We put body cameras on our officers, as I mentioned. Our community outreach efforts are a mile long, and that's the type of leadership that one must have if one expects to win the mayor's office. When I left the police department, I became the chief of staff for the police department. In that role, I had an opportunity to see all the departments of the city, not just the police department, but everything from budgeting on a $27 million budget and how that money comes in and goes out, how we prioritize projects. I got to see our streets department, our parks department, our controller's office, our city attorney's office, our human resources, and how we recruit and hire and retain close to 300 city employees, that we all work together to get the job done in operating our city, to make sure that the quality of life in Lawrence is never compromised and that public safety is never, ever compromised. So in those capacities, you are looking at somebody who is uniquely qualified to bring leadership and experience into the mayor's office on day one. And something I'm very, very excited about is the fact that all the city employees that I have spoken to, everybody without exception, they are excited about Dave Hoffman being the next mayor of Lawrence, and that they want to continue the great progress that we've had. So I'm not gonna, on day one, I'm not gonna have to go out and hire a bunch of new department heads. I'm not gonna have to look for people. I'm not gonna have all that institutional knowledge walking out the door. I'm gonna have experienced, professional people that are going to just keep doing the great job that they're doing, and we're just going to take it to the next level. So that's what I see as kind of, when you talk about this race, my opponent, who's a very nice lady, she just doesn't have that experience. She doesn't have leadership experience, and I don't know what's going to happen to our city. There's definitely going to be a huge learning curve there, not just with my opponent, but with all the people that she intends to bring in. So I'd say that's probably the area of the race that needs to be very thoroughly looked at by voters when they determine what is going to be best for the future of Lawrence. And I hope they have a very, very close examination of these two candidates. And if they do that examination, they're going to find the choice is absolutely clear, that I'm going to be the best next mayor for the city of Lawrence.
Dave Hoffman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
That was Dave Hoffman, Republican candidate for mayor of Lawrence. Remember, you can catch All Indiana Politics every Sunday morning at 9:30, only on Wish TV. I'm Garrett Bergquist. Thanks for listening.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.